Hello, everyone. Um, Welcome back for another amazing episode. So, this episode is actually a very special one, a fun one to see the two of us talk about something a lot of debaters love, but we rarely see them talk about in the open, which is football. I mean, people would argue that I love football. Please keep your judgmental opinions in your DMs. At this point in my life, I love almost everything. So I'm here with Erasmus. Erasmus, welcome to this episode. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm actually excited because like Chelsea's playing in a Carabao Cup final with Liverpool. So by the time the episode
Yeah.
comes, we know if how my night went.
Yeah, but you are in your national team jersey. I'm saying your national team as if I'm not from Ghana. You are in our national team jersey, and you are showing solidarity to the Ghanaian flag. I don't know how you feel about the jersey you are wearing, but for most people after the Afcon, it's been pain after pain, so they don't feel good putting on the jersey.
Yeah, I find the AFCON to be a very, very traumatic topic for me. I think the funny thing is that when I was back in Ghana, like I didn't care too much. Like I
Okay,
followed the Black
yeah,
Stars, but we don't usually have to have like when because if we lose, we all lost, so everyone is just quiet
yeah,
about it. If we
yeah,
won, we're all buzzing about it. But the problem over here now is that I live in a very multicultural
yeah,
community and in a multicultural workplace. So
yeah,
people tag me with that. So like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh, what happened to Ghana? And then you have to like narrate
Yeah,
it all over again.
exactly, exactly.
So
I remember I
I
went to
just
class and the students were asking me, "Oh, did I know? Do I know what happened to Ghana in the Afcon?" I'm like, "Bro, can we end it here?"
yeah. So it didn't go too well, did it? And I know on the 14th of February, some
Yeah,
men decided to go on a demonstration to fix Ghana
yeah,
football.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I
yeah.
was saying that that was probably an excuse not to celebrate 14th February with their loved ones because they'll say that, baby, don't you know Ghana football is dying? Ghana football is
Dying,
dying.
yeah, yeah.
We need to save it. So 14th
I
February
mean, I
will
mean
be.
to be fair, I think it's a valid option for people who are single. Like we need to have those spaces for some of us so that we can pivot and find meaning. Because you guys will press and press people's necks all over the place, like with Vows Day and all that. I mean, I support those who chose that day, and I stand with them.
Now allow
But
yourself
yeah,
to be vivid.
please, football is a big thing within the debating world. I mean, coming up within the West African space, I saw some of the most heated banters on WADEC, on the West African debate community page, talking about football, like some of the wildest disagreements about football. And it was funny because it was a debate page, and you would see almost every single person talking about football. And we gradually have come to realize that football is a part of the personal lives of almost every average debater, especially the male ones who are very enthusiastic about football. And even to some degree, a lot of female debaters are very interested in football. I think generally also we like to explore it as a matter of learning about the sport because it's probably the most popular sport that we see debate motions around.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get a sense of how big it is as an identity and as a community within the debate circuit.
Oh my God. So let me start from here. You mentioned
Yeah,
women participating. The current, FPL, right? Fantasy Premier League.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The,
yeah.
the current uh, table is being topped. Okay, no. So there are a couple of women who are actually playing
Yeah,
there. And there
the
was a time
FPL.
where the FPO, there was a time in
Oh,
Wadek FPO, West African Debates Community FPO, which where the table was being topped by women, and you see them in
yeah,
very
yeah,
very
yeah, yeah, yeah,
positions. So like currently, I think I see May's team and it's Oluwatobiloba Adebara. Uh,
yeah.
I'm not too sure if this is a woman, but we need to look
Ah,
into it. And yeah, and there are like several
yeah,
women in this. But there's Paula Mbanza who is also within the league, and
yeah,
this
yeah.
is a
No, Paula
big,
is.
I think the
I mean,
first,
Paula is a sports law fanatic. She's doing sport law, so obviously, that's a space she would relish to be in all the time.
yeah, and I think for me, just to start, right, the first
Yeah,
thing is that debate in itself is a sport. So people who are drawn into
yeah,
it are people who are also drawn to other kind of sports. They are
Other
very
sports, yeah.
competitive. They like to follow these regiments. They like to improve. They like to see their people win, and they like to see themselves win. So I think
Yeah.
it just draws the best people, or people who already have an affinity to sports in there. So you have people who follow
Yeah.
esports, people who follow cricket,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
including
Yeah.
football. And my first experience with football was when I decided at the start of the new season to create an FPL for Debate, so Debate Fantasy PL.
Oh,
Yes,
how
and
did that go?
there were so many signups. There were so many signups. I
Yeah.
currently we ended up having about three groups because like I don't know with the admin issues. But
Overflows.
yeah, but essentially like it's running now, Fantasy Debates PL,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, and like there are people like Jorge from Belgrade A who was in the final and he's playing and he's
Yeah.
like second in the league. Yeah. Um,
Wow.
I know Dylan and Jack,
Yeah.
Palmer, they play in the fantasy PO. And it's funny because like Dylan is a Manchester United fan and Jack is a Chelsea fan. So clearly they were made for each other. and
I mean,
I,
for me, I'll just say that you guys are lucky that I'm not there. Because if I was, like, obviously, the top
yeah,
of the table there.
that's what everyone who doesn't play says. So they start playing.
It's very interesting because I see, like, especially with FPL, which provides like a very competitive avenue for people to exhibit their tactical awareness of the game, also their awareness of team news, following. It's like you have to be very involved in it to play and be successful. Because like I was just looking at Rasmus Højlund scoring in six successive games, and then people have selected him, and all of a sudden he's injured.
I was a victim. I was a victim because like I mean like this season I'm having a good season, which is funny
Yeah,
because like I started quite well and then
yeah,
I fell
dropped
out
off.
because I dropped
Yeah,
off. I wasn't like checking too much, which sometimes happens when you have like two bad weeks
yeah,
consecutively.
yeah,
Then
yeah,
you
yeah,
just
yeah.
want to be like, yeah, I don't pay attention, so I just let it go. But ever since I got back on, just steadily following it, I'm doing well. So I made some changes to make use of the double game week from last week. So I brought
Yeah.
in some new players from Liverpool, had some Man City players, but Liverpool has no fixtures today.
Ah,
So as a result of that,
yeah,
Darwin Nunes not participating. I had to switch for
yeah.
him. So my money was not. I didn't have a lot of money, so I decided to bring Erasmus Højlund because he was. But the thing is, I hate Man United. I
Ooh.
try not to put in Man United players. So it took a
And
lot
they
for me.
betrayed you.
So this is exactly why we shouldn't put Man United players in, and they still went ahead to lose anyway. So for me, like
I'm
I'm not
shocked.
touching United assets, not anytime soon. I'm not touching
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I had
yeah.
Rashford
Sorry.
from the start of the season and it was terrible. So I mean,
I mean, Marcus Rashford has been overly underwhelming this season. If you look at the red hot form he was in last season, everybody would predict, oh, he's going to be outstanding. He's not even been standing to put the out in front. And Hoyland who picked up you want to pick him up, and then out of the blue he's just injured. So I mean,
yeah.
Manchester United right now is just an injury pot. Like if you pick anybody from there, the
No,
following
I
day they
mean
could be injured.
it's crazy, but I think I'm beginning to get the sense that it might be a good idea to even start like discussing these things, start giving people the opportunity to give us a look
Yeah,
at the teams how they're doing. Someone like
yeah,
Kobe
yeah, yeah,
Siama
yeah, 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 yeah. Kobe
has
plays very, very well.
very well. Like he's usually like in the
Yeah,
top some of the top teams in Ghana, some of the top teams
yeah,
globally. Like he's so good. So people like him giving us insights into some of these things, and I think it's also very good because like we speak about the pressure within debates and sometimes
yeah,
finding newer ways to connect to people within the community. I think this
yeah,
creates like there are people who cannot and would not want to be contributing in discussion about what is the delta dy dx and like the mechanisms and things like that. They just want to they come to debate,
yeah,
they want to have fun. So it's
yeah,
important to establish new connections, small
yeah,
community people who just have similar interests to give new
yeah,
opportunities meet new people, and I think that's
Yeah.
that's what's special. Like creating the Debate Fantasy Premier League, like the interactions I had with people from fuck knows where, just like popping up. I'm like, oh yeah, like I didn't think you have interest in that topic, giving us the opportunity to look
Yeah.
at it. It's been
Yeah,
very, very
that's so true, and I mean, it allows people to explore themselves beyond just debating as well. Because debate can be so consuming; it's difficult to see the world outside of debate or the world beyond it. And so, at least bringing more of the world into the debate space increases our experiences and
yeah.
enriches it more and more, which is really really good. What's your position on the table, though? I'm curious.
I've not checked. I need to check. I don't have my phone now. It's low.
Please, 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 hurry up, hurry up. The
When
trolls
when we
are
say my
ready because
position, when you say my position, people don't know. But I mean, just to top off with the Man United bit, like some of the biggest debaters are, because I see Sora the Paul tweet a lot
yeah,
um,
yeah, he's
about
Buemo is a
United.
Man United fan.
Where more faithfulness is the loudest United fan, and you speak
Buemo is
about
funny because Buemo is a United fan but a Messi fanatic,
yeah,
which is crazy.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's oil and water, but yeah, I mean, when I look at, for example, the West African debates page, like some of the
yeah,
conversations that has continued to stay there is football, and I see people complain, you don't talk about
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah. It's true.
it, you talk
It's
about
true.
football. I don't see a problem with that because if
Yeah,
nobody was talking about anything, if people wanted to talk about debates, they will talk about
they
debates.
would have. They would have
Yes,
they would have
so
spoken about debate. Yeah,
it means that the gap either isn't filled or is filled with something else, and if it's not filled,
yeah,
then it means that people are just gonna leave. There people
yeah. It's
won't stay.
true.
That people are not
True.
finding new ways to connect with the society. So this ensures that if we
Yeah,
release the shaft, people are there and they're like, oh yeah, the shaft, and let's follow it. Or say
yeah,
Panama WDC, people are then. It's just
yeah,
important to keep the conversation going, and it's been one of the
yeah,
hot topics. Of course, we want to encourage
yeah,
more debate conversation, but I think there are
yeah.
so many
Obviously,
different ways for
obviously.
people to connect.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Also, I would just say, I mean, it's fun at least break the ice sometimes. It's not always that we are talking about Russia's invasion of Ukraine and Israel, Palestine, and some crazy world leader sitting somewhere doing something out of our scope. We should be able to have catharsis from a debate
Yeah,
perspective
we should invite.
in our experiences.
I mean, as a Chelsea fan, we should invite someone over here. We should have like a 1v1 and go. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
when
yeah,
when our
yeah.
position on the table improves, we can do that. But for now, this is fine.
Erasmus, this abuse of power. We should invite that person right now. It's not when your
No,
position
no,
improves on the table. But yeah,
no.
yeah. From now on, we'll try from the shaft to do, for instance, like every month, maybe pick someone who is topping the FPL, have a quick maybe 30 minutes chat with them to understand their tactical awareness within that month, what factors, what news, what channels have they been following, what informed their decisions, and then maybe we can have like a debate FPL update,
Yeah,
just for the fun of
yeah. I
it
think
for the
that's a good
debate
idea.
community
I
as
have
well.
I have a good name
Yeah.
for it. If
What's
you've been
what?
following like the Wadek chat, the chats on Wadek, they said that there's a distinction between the banter. There's like beer parlor argumentation, and then there's like debate worthy. So I want us to call it the beer parlor.
Oh, yeah, that's actually a catchy name. It's also curious, but it actually sings with football a lot because people like to watch football over beer and all that. It's one of the drinks that I don't know how come it got attached to football, but almost every big football advert has something to do with a bunch of guys at a bar, like
Yeah,
drinking beer and watching football. Like
yeah,
it's like people who don't drink, we are some way cast out of the football system by default. I
yeah.
don't know what's the problem.
Yeah, it's a marketing trick. It's a marketing trick, but we don't want to go into that today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, let's delve a little bit into the English Premier League. It's people say it's the best league, the most competitive league in the world, and the reason why I want us to focus is because I think it's also the most interesting in a lot of things. I mean, there's Xabi Alonso doing wonders in the Bundesliga, but that's
But
uh
who cares?
that's just Yeah, that's the thing. It's Tuchel being smoked. So I mean, no, nobody really cares like that. And at best, people don't care much that Bayern is losing the dominance anyway,
Yeah.
because it's not that interesting. But there's a three-way title race ongoing in the Premier League at this point. Liverpool with Klopp and his resurgent midfield doing some wonders in there, and Arsenal, obviously, Man City as well. What's your take on it? But also, who do you think is going to win eventually? Because it seems tight at the top. It's just 1 point segregation across the three.
Yeah, first of all, City is going to win it. Like I don't see
Okay,
anyone else. But
okay.
I think there's a fourth contender, a dark horse, who and the world doesn't see them. Only they are the only ones who see themselves. Just like they are deluded in the way in which they do this, so they count themselves in there that they should be competing.
Who is that?
Oh,
Who
you,
is
I'm sure you
that?
probably know Man United.
You know, you know,
Yeah.
I knew you were going to shade United. I was like, I mean, to be fair, the part of the conversation I even wanted to consider United was whether or not they would be able to overtake Spurs and Villa for the fourth place. Even that would get there, but you've thrown the shade already. It's fine. Rest the
Yeah,
shade.
because for them,
Now
after they won two games, they were like, yeah, they're back in the
they are
top four.
back.
We're gonna,
United
yeah,
is always like that. They would always
they're
make
always
some
back.
random noise about. And if you even if you check the games they were winning, it's not games that they dominated or controlled or looked like win. A lot of them were wins under panic. Like it's just look at the Wolves game. It took Kobe Manu in the last minute to rescue them. A lot
To
of
be
the games
fair,
that they've been playing.
it's 3 points on the board, so you can't fight that.
Yeah, I
But
mean it is. I'm just pointing out on how unsustainable it is because there are
yeah,
some wins when you put those performances together. It's rational when you claim that we are back, but you don't
yeah,
look at wins under panic situations and still shout we are back. Back from where?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you are still in the closet, Charlie.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
I mean,
but
but why do
just
you think Man City will win it? Is it just cred and experience and the history of the past
look,
5 years?
look, Pep Guardiola is a demon. So usually we talk about his runs from the second half of the season, and this guy can go
Yeah,
16 games without losing a point. Do you know what it means to go 16 games within the
but he's
EPL,
already
especially?
dropped points.
So that's it to a very, 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 very well composed and on the rise Chelsea side, which for me, like it's a separate conversation as with
I
regards to.
think Pochettino pulls some one-time wonders, but I don't think it's on the rise Chelsea. But okay,
Fair.
fair.
It's fair.
Yeah,
It's fair, but for me, like it tells you it's telling on uh how much like it takes to beat
yeah,
City. Even then, because like you would say, they were outclassed within a game. Even then, they had a draw. So it should tell you that this City team is a team that is very, very resilient. And once
yeah,
they have everybody fully functioning, they are going to win. So the question is, can Arsenal and Liverpool sustain their win rate? Because as I
their
know,
runs. Yeah,
the point difference is just one, and that's where for me the
yeah,
fault is. Because yeah, City can have bad days, but they will win. They will but they are going to win. At worst, they are
yeah,
going to get a draw. The point is that I can see Liverpool dropping certain points because most of their players are injured.
yeah,
They do not have a lot of consistency in the selections that they're able to make, having to rely on a lot of academic graduates. But you do see that it being Klopp's last season, there's sort of like a rallying cry within the dressing room and amongst the players to sort of like
yeah,
perform at their best, which is good. So I think especially at Anfield, like recently they were losing 1-0 to Luton, and then out of nowhere they just scored 4 goals. So you're going to have those
yeah,
moments. I think away from home and against some of the bigger sides, they are going to struggle a bit. They also have certain boogie sides, like Brentford, Aston Villa, who sometimes
yeah.
can figure them out and where they'll drop 1 or 2 points. Arsenal is Arsenal. They like to bottle a lot. They have a huge feeding bottle,
What?
and then
How do you
they pretend,
how do you
they
just
pretend.
describe a team by saying Arsenal is Arsenal,
No,
and
but
that
no,
alone
but
is already a shade?
listen. Like I'm a like people don't. like culture within a football club is so important, and I think what Arsenal is
Yeah,
doing is trying to change the culture, but there's a huge part of their culture which is like bottling, and that's the thing. It starts with one or two incidents, then now everyone around believes it, then now it happens so often everyone within the club believes it.
believes it. Yeah,
So it sort of runs at the background that this is it, and it becomes a fear. And it's very hard to change culture. It's very hard to attack
yeah,
those cultural things. So I think it's in them. Like recently within their Champions League match, I think they are one of the favorites for the Champions League because like they are
yeah.
one of
But
the
they are
most.
also the ones who can easily lose. To be fair.
Yes, because they're one of the more
Yeah,
consistent teams. Like given that Bayern is faltering, Real Madrid has
yeah,
thousands of
yeah,
injuries. So apart from City and maybe Inter Milan, who have been super solid,
yeah,
I think Arsenal is one of the teams, given that they blew away all competition and finished top of their group. But yet they are
yeah,
losing 1-0 to Porto. And some of their fans are like, memories from the past. So I think they have that against them, especially given the last
yeah,
season they also bottled it at the depth. So dealing with the pressure, the young players that they have. But
yeah,
I know Guardiola is going to be winning his games. So the question is, can the other teams competing with him win all of their
yeah.
games?
I
That's
mean,
that's where.
it's true what you are saying, but I'm calculating this from a slightly different perspective. So yes, is Pep going to be winning his games? Sure, but will Pep games be tougher this time, especially head-on games against Arsenal and City? Very, very tough, right? And if you have those tough games and you have the likes of Chelsea holding him to a draw, you probably don't need Pep to lose a lot of games to you. You just need other people to equally worry him, right?
Yeah,
And I see that sort of jittery reactions around Pep in the past weeks, which, to be fair, he has the capacity to just start a run. And even, especially, it's been jittery and he's still getting the results. It tells you if he just picks up and decides, okay, here we go, 16 wins on the bounce, he can do it, right? But what I'm looking at is Arsenal have been really good this season. The difficulty is then that, like you said, they have the capacity to bottle it sometimes. But I also think they've really picked up in terms of results. Like this second part of the season, they've been really, really good. If you look at the kind of goals, because the first part of the season, what was happening to Arsenal was they weren't scoring a lot of goals, and they were scoring some late, late winners, some 1-0s, 2-1s, and all that. But if you look at recent results, they've been blowing teams away, which is like, sure, it could be a short-lived wonder, but if it could continue, which I know they have the capacity to do, maybe Klopp could also have his team just willing to die on the field for him because he's leaving and they want to give him like a very, very solid farewell. And so for me, I see it a lot more closer than you do, because I have a feeling the factors that could propel Liverpool and Arsenal to win are there. The factors that could mess up Klopp are also there, and maybe it's too soon to call that Man City is going to definitely win. I genuinely believe that Arsenal could win the league. Right? I think Liverpool would struggle. To be very honest, I think Liverpool will struggle. Right? I think Liverpool will struggle because, like, Klopp went to the Emirates and struggled, and he got lashed and all that. Arsenal is proving a little bit stubborn in terms of the results that they are getting, and maybe also because they are yet to face like somebody tough out away from home in the second half of the season. So let's wait for those results. But for me, my general assessment is it's too soon to call for City, and it's very easy for me to get it wrong because he's the proven bet. But I objectively don't think that he's convinced me enough that he's going to win this season.
listen, listen. The reason I'm saying City is because it's Pep, and
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Pep is a demon. Like Pep is just dubious in what he
because
does.
when
And
I
Haaland is
said
now coming back. De Bruyne is back, so of course,
yeah,
like
you know you
the
know
results are going to come
you
in.
know where Pep is dangerous is when he has
Where
problems. Like
yeah,
Pep,
actually, it's true.
Pep
Because now he's now
sometimes
forced to think and then fix the issue in a way that nobody can respond to in the last part of the season. It
yes,
was like last season when he moved John Stones into midfield and then he
and
started
start
playing
playing
this
the
box
three back.
midfield. Yeah, and then all of a sudden everybody's struggling to cope in the midfield with it.
Because that's the thing. Because he was definitely having issues with his midfield progression and finding more
Yeah,
bodies within the midfield. Teams were beginning to counter attack
just
very much
yeah.
especially because like his fullbacks were like bombing in and were involved within the
yeah,
attacking play. And then when he has problems and he has time to think about it, then he fixes them. So when the problems are obvious for Pep, he fixes them, he's dead. It's when the problems are less
yeah,
obvious, he doesn't have a lot of issues within the team,
yeah,
and it's like he's running a steady ship, then it's not quite clear how he should motivate
yeah,
because he mentions it himself. That is, sometimes it's
yeah.
very hard to motivate his players.
To
So
motivate the team, yeah.
yeah,
They feed
because
on
they are weak.
adversity and
They feed
criticism
on
and
the
all that
adversity.
too.
So
Yeah.
that's where I fear Pep. Like Pep is
Yeah,
more
to be
like
fair.
to lose the league when he's first than when he's
Yeah,
second,
yeah.
third.
Than when he's chasing you. When he's chasing you, he's very, very aggressive about it. Because then they have something to fight for and the win means a lot more.
Yeah, because
And
that's what they did
which
to
is quite
Arsenal.
true.
That's
Last
what they did
season,
to
yeah.
Arsenal.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe what helps Arsenal in this case is that
They are
they
also chasing.
they're also chasing because that's what gives
Yeah.
because the thing with Arsenal can't keep up with it. And like a lot of times I've discovered this too, like about myself, about a lot of people. There are some people who don't
Yeah.
know how to lead. Why? Because for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
within debates, we are used to being underdogs. So we like the story, the underdog
True.
story.
True. True.
So we go into tournaments and when we have to be dominant, we're like, okay,
Yeah. Oh
it's
yeah. We
yeah,
are
like
uncomfortable with being on at the top. Yeah.
because like you just keep on looking out for who is coming for you. People prepare for you much more, especially the
Yeah.
attention for you. So we have our wins when people don't quote unquote rate us when like
Yeah.
they don't see us coming. But when
Yeah.
it's quite clear that we have to turn around and see others coming, then it becomes like okay, because
Yeah.
we don't have our style like looking at other people. But I think it's the same way. Like
Yeah.
Arsenal is not used to being on top and being chased. So last season they suffered
Yeah.
from, and people think it's gone away. I don't think it's gone away. So maybe what helps them is to keep this steadily and just hope that
City
City
Fortress.
falters. That's what everyone needs to hope for.
Yeah, I mean, Klopp would love the story of him winning the league for in his last season. Like, he would love. People are debating his legacy, how great he is, but I think he's been an outstanding manager for Liverpool. I'm particularly curious about how well they would be able to replace him, given what we've seen with teams who've had very successful long managers, and then when they leave, it starts becoming a crisis. Like nearly bottom table delusional United is experiencing right now after Sir Alex Ferguson left, and so like I wish him all the best. I hope he gets a very very well rounded send off. But yeah, let's come to the two teams that are probably controversial but also struggling within the league right now. Chelsea, Manchester United. Let's pick Chelsea for a start. I mean, Chelsea's story for this season, for me, it keeps on shocking me. And I'll let you pitch in a bit because you are much more attached to this than I am. the, the problem is, you guys brought in Pochettino with all the experience and said you were going to build a culture, build a team, fix the issues. You jubilated more than anyone for signing Caicedo to solidify your midfield and put in a block system. You signed Cole Palmer, who has been outstanding in terms of his exhibitions and taking on much more responsibility within the team. And yet, Chelsea is still 10th and mid table and not climbing up nor going down. And I'm wondering, what's wrong? The bigger question is if it was Graham Potter getting this result, people would have been shouting Potter out. But because it's Pochettino with all his experience and his niceness, everybody is quiet. Why, Erasmus?
I think Potter was also very nice. I don't think it's about Pochettino and his niceness. Like in the first place, Poch, for example, isn't liked by a huge number of the fan base because of his Tottenham
Yeah,
affiliation. People didn't want him there. Plus, he's not a glamorous manager. Like it's a manager that we sort of like ridiculed. Like, yeah, he's also a bottler associated, but
yeah.
let's be frank, it's a Spurs thing more than it's a Poch thing. But like, um, but because we've seen
This
him go outside.
clarification is just to show Chelsea.
It's true because he has won trophies. Let's be frank, and people will say it's just
Yeah,
PSG.
true.
But yeah, you can go to PSG and not win a
And
trophy.
no
So
win. Yeah.
yeah, so for me, and he won trophies even before like the Spurs thing. So let's be honest, where he picks Spurs from, yeah, the things he was challenging
Yeah, I
for.
mean, he did wonders with Spurs. It's just the trophies that didn't come, but he really
Exactly,
tried with them. The
exactly.
Champions League
So,
final and
so,
all that.
so I don't think it's just about the coach. But even with that being with even with that being said, you do realize that it's also someone who is proven, right? Like Poch is
Yeah,
more proven than Potter, so you are more likely
yeah,
going to trust that coach and going to give him time. Because like every time people like Potter was referring to, Klopp was giving time, Pep was giving time. Yeah, you will not give Pep time. Are you mad? Like that's the point. You will not give Klopp time. See what he did for us.
yeah. Because he did with Dortmund and came.
Yeah,
Pep had gone to Bayern, Barcelona.
yeah. So we'll give
Yeah,
him time. So, like, yeah, you can ask for time. I think if we had given Potter time, he would have improved the team. But people just didn't like him. His personality, his character just didn't fit the Chelsea spirit. And I think what Poch
yeah,
has done, Poch is also in that way, in that same way, he's also a very, very calm dude. He doesn't panic. He panders to the board a lot, which
yeah,
people
yeah.
fans don't like it. They want a manager who is aggressive, goes against the grain,
Ambitious. Yeah,
ambitious. Yeah, it's just like firing the players up. They want players who are putting themselves on the line. They don't like because that's the fan base and that's what we've been used to. You remember what I was telling you about culture building. But I think what he has
yeah,
done in the last few weeks is go against the grain. He's confronting the fans. He's saying, "Look, I don't care what you guys say about me. I don't know care what you guys think about me. I'm just going to do my job." He's saying that I know
yeah,
that this job demands trust to be won and not just be
yeah,
given. So, because they asked him, "Do you think the fans love you?" He said, "No, because I've not done anything for them."
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
he is on a mission to win hearts. And I think that
yeah,
approach is why a lot of people within the fan base have begun to be like, okay, you know what, let's give this guy the time. Secondly, don't conflate progress on the league table to mean progress. Remember that there's context, especially from our previous season, where like we were terrible, we're absolutely terrible. Change managers had the worst
yeah,
lineup of managers ever, like from Potter to Lampard, the worst stints. We had like four
yeah.
managers, and then after that, there was a massive clear out where more than half of the squad was sold.
Yeah, the squad was sold. Yeah,
So this squad that we have now are players who joined midway, players like Enzo Fernandez who joined midway within last season, players like
yeah,
Sterling who, as of last season, was playing right wing back, who are now settling
yeah.
within the team. So these players are now getting to know
See,
themselves.
playing right wing back. Christ.
Yeah. So these players are now
Some
getting
things
to
have
know
been
themselves.
terrible.
Yeah, find their feet. Not only that, like this
Yeah,
is a young team. Some of them they are not in the physical condition, and that's why you see a lot of injuries. Some of them,
yeah,
players like Modric, had not played. You know, like the EPL is so stressful with the number of games. Some
yeah,
of them have
yeah.
not played a full season before having to play consistent nights. Players like Palmer, like even if he
Oh,
was very, very good,
yeah, yeah,
had
yeah,
never
yeah,
played
yeah.
20
Yeah, I'd
minutes.
never played a full season
Yeah,
in Man City. Yeah,
in Man City. So you are 21 years old and you are entrusted with 90 minutes every game week. Like you're going to get injured, you're going to deal with fatigue, you're going to deal with lack of motivation compared with players who are just like proven. And now these players having to find themselves, find the rhythm, understand the tactics. And people just think if you're a proven coach, you just come into the house and you begin to do well. You need to understand your players, understand what their strengths are. And it goes beyond just
yeah,
watching their videos. It comes with seeing them, talking to them. Like I do this
yeah,
myself. Even yourself as a coach, you realize that you get
yeah,
better the more time you spend with the
yeah,
kids, the more
yeah,
you are
yeah.
speaking to them outside of the
That's so true.
classroom.
Yeah,
So you need time to build those relationships. And for me, I think that anything you just want instantly, anything that's brought up instantly comes down instantly. Anything that takes time and is built with time is more likely to last, which is what we've seen Arsenal do. And I think
yeah,
that's sort of like the kind of model that we're going for, to trust the youth, build their
yeah,
experience, and I think that experience is going to come in handy. So it's not about the position within the league table because that's influenced by things which sometimes you cannot control, your injuries,
yeah,
like some of these conditions I'm mentioning, and it is a feature of young teams because you need to create so many scenarios which they are able to learn from because they don't have the scenario
yeah,
of I'm losing 1-0. Like people want us to go out there and like win 2-0, 3-0 every match. No, sometimes you see the Liverpool team, you see the City team, they go down by one
yeah,
goal, they bounce back.
yeah, yeah,
Arsenal is doing same. It's because you need to
yeah,
learn. You need to find those
Yeah.
scenarios. And it's better we do it
Yeah.
now rather than build a team that's winning 2-0, 3-0. And then when it gets to the grain, they begin faltering. Because I think this is where the mentality of the team is being built, finding those scenarios, learning, adapting to them, having last minute
Yeah.
wins. You need all those scenarios where you don't play well, but you find a way to win.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you see us playing nice football, we the opponent scores, and then everyone just sort of like
Yeah.
gives up.
Everybody is down. Yeah. Yeah. I
So
mean, it's true what you're saying, but some people would say that you are defending a lot because it's Chelsea. But of course, you are a fan of this. You're a fan of the team. Between you and I, I'm not the one going to defend Chelsea. I'm most likely going to roast them. So, but you mentioned something about Mikel Arteta in Arsenal when they gave him time, because Arteta in Arsenal the first 2 seasons was nearly shambolic. He was given time, clear out the team, rebuild it to his liking, create a
yes,
culture. But that's the thing. It sounds contradicting with how you guys treated Potter. Because Arteta was improving when he went to Arsenal. Arteta was Pep's assistant, and then he moved to Arsenal. And Potter, I would probably say they were on the same level in terms of credibility, with Potter even having more credibility because Potter was playing wonderful football with Brighton at the time, and then he was moved to Chelsea. Arsenal gave Arteta time. Chelsea didn't give Potter time. Why?
no, 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 no. Like even with Poch, as much as we are saying we should give him time, we have standards, and that's
Yeah,
that's what like the fan base responds to. Like, where are the standards going? Like, yeah,
yeah.
you there are difficulties, but you are tenth and you are pretending like, oh, there's nothing going on. We
There's
should give him
roses
time.
on the
Yeah,
door.
you're pretending like yeah, everything, and like there are things
The
which he should
lads
be
gave their
doing now.
best.
Yeah, they gave their best things. You should be ripping into them. Plus, secondly, the performances. There were just a couple of
Yeah,
performances where you saw our team play very, very, very well. But the performances weren't coming. Even in games we were winning, performances were so poor compared to Poch, where like you see the game against City, they're like, this is the best,
yeah,
the game of the season.
yeah,
Game against Tottenham, game of the
yeah,
season.
yeah.
Game against Arsenal, game of the season.
What is really pulling his weight against the top guys, and that's one
Yes,
thing that's fascinating. But then he's losing against the smaller
and
teams,
that's
which is
that's
like,
that's what we're saying. That's what we're saying because when the players are well motivated, they respond to the. It's not always about
yeah,
time.
true,
Like
true,
sometimes it's
true,
about
true.
fine. Like look,
The
if
individual fights, the grind on the pitch.
yeah,
Yeah,
like I know. Even as debaters, right? The energy you use to approach world is not the same energy you use to approach. I don't want to mention the
obviously,
tournament. But
obviously,
as we are debating every week,
obviously.
there are some weeks that people you'll be cooking stew and be doing debates because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
There are
like
some weeks you go to the office and sit.
and sit and clear out your table because like
Yeah,
you mean business. These players have
yeah,
having to play every 2 days. Sometimes like just finding a motivation to keep up. And I'm not trying to make excuses. That's the reality, and they need
yeah,
to learn. And the reality also is that we've not been good, even under Tuchel when we won after we won the Premier League, and even the year we won,
yeah.
no, sorry, the Champions League. Even the
The
year we
Champions
won,
League.
we were not great.
Yeah,
So
it
we
was a
learned
lot
our
of 1-0 wins, a lot of
yes,
hard defense, one goal,
yes.
defend, defend, defend. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
not sustainable. That's not sustainable. And you contrast that to Man United. And the reason I say don't use the positions within the table to judge progress because I say both teams are failing, but there's one
yeah.
team that is failing
United
up.
just within an yeah, feeling up the table, and then
That's
another
that's
is
one.
feeling down the table.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
I'm just referring to like failing up as a concept. There's one team that's
Ah,
failing, and is the failure is using those
yeah,
scenarios of failure to progress, to continue to add up.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
we're rock bottom and we're continuing to build, and we're going to get
yeah,
better. United is almost failing down because right now, what's their way out? Like if you think about Chelsea and you think about the way out, you think, okay, we add a few experienced players and we're good. You think about United
yeah,
and you think they need to do what we did last summer, which is clear out a lot of
yeah,
dead wood. Like their defenders, people who the experienced players which they rely on who are consistently
yeah,
being injured. Investment in youth, like compared
yeah,
to us, we have a more robust academy structure. So their dependence on youth, we saw like a young kid come out who is like a maverick,
yeah.
and that's the
Menu,
problem. That's the problem
Garnacho,
we have.
Omari
Yeah,
Forsen. Yeah,
yeah. because that's the problem you have with United fans. Because if this was Chelsea, most likely these guys, you'll be finding like a lot of development for them, places they are going to. But
Yeah,
these guys have a lot of talent. But Ten Hag is the first coach I'm seeing having the boldness to consistently
to
play some of these
introduce
guys.
the
Maybe
yeah.
helped by some of the injuries because previously they wouldn't do some of these things.
Yeah, they would loan them. I mean, Ahmad Diallo played a wonderful like Europa League game. Then he was loaned afterwards. He came back from Sunderland, and I'm sure if he was discovered under Ten Hag, at least he would have had the chance to
Yeah,
grow in
yeah.
some
So
sense into the
and they should
team.
stop. They should stop like hyping up their players like with so many comparisons. Like Rashford has good second half of the season. Compare him to Mbappe. Compare him to everyone. Saying he's
Mbappe,
the best in the world.
Vinicius.
Like you are not the best in anything. Like
Yeah,
immediately, like Kobe Menu just settled in, have had a good couple of games. Start comparing him to. I don't even want to mention it because
yeah,
it's
seed
so
off.
compare him to everyone like in the world. And he's 18. He's 18. You can't even be sure
Yeah,
that he has like two good games in a row. Give him time to develop, give him time to continue to play, continue to trust him, get some good people around him, build a team around him. So you
yeah,
think about the things they need to do to get to that level, and it's massive.
yeah,
But Chelsea
yeah. I
has
mean,
done that.
yeah. Just a question for you: Do you think Eric Ten Hag is the right man for the job? Do you think he would survive like to next
Even if I
season?
don't think he's the right man for the job, I don't think the trend of having to kick out players is one that would like having to
Kick out
kick out
managers.
managers is one that
Yeah,
would help the team. It's quite clear that what Eric Ten Hag is not talented in is recruitment because he's in Ajax, like he had to bring in guys from the academy, and he's very, very good in terms of young players because he's disciplined. You know, like
yeah,
these young
yeah,
players, he's a
yeah, yeah.
disciplinarian. So
And you
these
see
young players,
Garnacho, Hoyland, Kubimenu, you see them under him, and clearly they stand out in terms of performances.
yes, but the
Yeah,
problem at United is that you can't just play youngsters, and they clearly don't have like grassroots that can feed
yeah,
consistently feed these things. But his problem is that if you want him to go and sign proven players, he can't. He doesn't know how to. Like he will sign players like Casemiro, like
yeah.
Anthony, etc.
I think the
And
time he came into the team was also bad for the reputation of the team to attract good signings because
yes,
it's like Casemiro was almost a rush shipping out from Madrid in order to get to United. They followed De Jong throughout the summer and never got him.
yeah, is it
United
such a decision?
player, like, yeah, exactly, like
Like such
chasing
a
one player
decision.
for the entire summer.
Yeah, so for me, I think that's why it's not good. So if they manage to get a very, very good recruitment team behind him, if they begin to invest within
Yeah,
the academy, I think he'll respond because tactically he's sound. Like tactically he's sound because we've seen
I
him
think
play.
that's the difficult people have been asking about now because currently, tactically, he's not. I don't know if you've watched United play any games. Like you clearly know that Casemiro is struggling in midfield. You are playing most of the time a 4-1-4-1, leaving the entire midfield for Casemiro. He's struggling. He panics. He goes into tackles, pickups, useless yellow cards. Kubumeno is being tasked to play a more advanced role and leave Casemiro in there instead of playing a double pivot. And so people are actually beginning to question whether or not, per the circumstances, he's playing in a tactical way that meets the demands of the team. Because we understand Eric Ten Hag, give him all his tools, he'll be tactically brilliant. But you also need to adjust to the demands of the team as and when injuries and all these personal issues pop up.
Yeah, and I think that's where he struggles because like at and I use the Ajax example again because like when he has all the tools at his disposal, he has players he relies on and
Yeah,
he likes specialists. You need to be good at
yeah,
this and I play you here. In terms of
yeah,
being able to adapt. I think I mentioned this in last season that he's going to find it out like quickly that in the Premier
yeah,
League sometimes you need to adjust your philosophy a bit, and I think that's why I think he has done well because we've seen him go into some of the big games and be was very very practical. But I think
yeah,
his man management principles sometimes let him down. His ID of talent let him down. I think it seeps
yeah,
in through like him managing the players on the field. Because if you are playing
yeah,
like a center back as a right center back as a left back or a left
yeah,
wing back,
yeah,
obviously there are some limitations. How do you continue to
Yeah,
accommodate, support
yeah,
them?
exactly.
Like those kind of decisions tend to seep through. But I think in terms of just his tactical acumen of putting players on the pitch, like approaching a game, he's quite good. But he has a style of football he wants to play, and I don't think
Yeah,
we've seen that
yeah.
yet.
Just two quick comments on this, and maybe we can move on. If you look at like the issue with Sergio Region when he came in from Tottenham, Luke Shaw was injured, Malaysia was injured, and then they broke off his loan spell in the middle of the season. And they broke it off at a time when they knew clearly Luke Shaw wasn't fully fit, Malaysia wasn't fully fit. And now they were forcefully returning Luke Shaw. If you could notice, some games he would come on, go off halftime, and then the next game he's popped back in there. And now he's injured again for months, and they don't have a proper left back, forcing him to play Lindelof in left or right back, and then shifting Dalo all over the place, which is clearly an obvious error, right? Like this one, nobody tells you that you made a very ridiculous decision, and it's similar to some of the decisions he's making going into games. He wants at the start of the season said he wants to play very very transitional football, but clearly, that's not his personal style. His personal style at Ajax, or the style we saw him play at Ajax, system wise, was not free flow like a swinging tennis ball, very transitional football like he talks about. But now, almost every Manchester United game is like end to end. It's more like a basketball game. From one goal post to the other, there is no control, there is no system around it. And you're asking, obviously he wants to adapt. Is he choosing the right adaptations to make? Would he survive? There's a lot of big questions. I have a feeling they would ask him off though.
No, I mean, for me, I could care less, to be very honest. But like, it's about the honest assessment, and I think he's trying to play that football. He's trying to play transitional
Yeah,
football. But the point
yeah.
is that,
The
even at Ajax,
personnel.
let's be frank, he used to play like high risk games. They used to concede.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
you check
yeah,
the
yeah.
stats, they used
But
to
they
concede
scored
a
a
lot
lot.
of.
Yeah,
They scored a lot, but they used to concede a
yeah.
lot of
A
shots.
lot, a
They
lot,
used to try
a
and play
lot.
out from the back. Like they were lucky to have some juggernauts in defense, though. But I think he's trying to, he just doesn't have the personnel to really
Yeah,
do that. To be
yeah,
honest, I would give him the keys to the house, to be honest, because like yeah, I think the problem is like I said, his approach towards management is a bit in a way
yeah,
that it favors young talent and
yeah.
getting the best out of them. But
I think to be fair, they are the ones getting him the results. So favoring them
yeah.
isn't really going bad right now. Finally, on United, Rasmus Højlund had faced a lot of critique. In fact, big comparisons when he came into the season, comparing him to Haaland. Also saying, oh, he just had a, and his rise to United is very weird because he's had very 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 limited top flight football, and then all of a sudden, Ten Hag needs a striker in the summer. Ten Hag doesn't have a striker. He's relying on Deadwood and Tony Marshall. They ask him at board level, what striker do you want? Ten Hag looks around and says, I want Rasmus Højlund. Obviously, when he came in and he was getting the stick at the start of the season, I didn't care less because I felt, look, the manager made his choice and he's getting his backlash on it. But this was somebody who was scoring in the Champions League, so you could tell he has potential. The problem people were started speaking about was that the wingers around him weren't helping. Hoyland was getting the lowest passes, the lowest touches, the lowest progressive passes in per 90 and all that. And you look at him now scoring, of course, he was injured. Like he messed up your FPL. But you look at him, he scored enough to force you to go and bring him through in FPL. What do you make about him, his trajectory in the EPL as of now?
So I spotted Hoyland when he was, people call him Diet Holland. Um, or Highland Light. But
Yeah,
I saw him when he was playing for Atalanta, and I was like, what a
yeah,
player! But he's raw, like
yeah,
he's
very.
still very very raw.
I mean,
So
he's young.
he's young, so he's
Yeah,
raw, and he doesn't have like the backing, like those goals to back him. But you
yeah,
can clearly see that there's a player in there and needs to come out. And when
yeah,
you come into a new team, and especially like a big club like United, the
yeah,
demands are a lot. Like the demands
yeah,
are a lot beyond just your skill. Yeah, and like
yeah,
you're also not like the the guy, like you're not going to be the main man because there are other main men over there. Like you need to
yeah,
play to them. They need to understand how you want the ball, things like that. So he was always not just going to pick up. But I think if he continues to play like how he's playing, like um the sky is the ceiling. But I think Man United being Man United, it would happen to him.
So, but maybe with the new ownership and the new structure, bringing in Omar Bereda, trying to bring in Dan Ashworth, like they would have maybe a solid structure, which would also help Eric Ten Hag with his recruitment issues as well. And so
Yes.
let's see how the next seasons go along. Let's bring in two teams that I think are very interesting in their positions. And Postacoglu's Spurs and then Unai Emery's Aston Villa.
Ah,
Unai Emery has been pulling wonders with Aston Villa since he came back into the Premier League. People have it shocks me that United did a double over them because it was nowhere statistically practical that that was going to happen. But I mean, that's why United fans became delusional and started saying they are back on top four run and all that. But,
yeah.
but you look at Unai Emery, you look at Ange Postecoglou Spurs, and Ange is also one of the coaches that hit the ground running, literally with Spurs playing some wonderful attacking football and all that. What do you make of these two teams? And do you think any of them can actually sustain their run and clinch the top four, the fourth spot, or you think delusional United would come along?
No,
I
no,
have a
no.
feeling these two guys are dropping the ball anyway. So I want to know your
Yeah.
feeling and your
No,
thoughts on that.
I think Spurs makes top four, especially with the return of Son now, and
Yeah,
like with some of their players like Brennan Johnson, like
yeah.
just getting into the fray of things and just finding his feet.
I think Charlison is also finding his feet now.
Richarlison is also finding his feet. Madison is back in the side.
Yeah,
Some of their defenders are now returning. So I think they clinched that spot. The thing with Aston Villa is there's a ceiling. It sort of is a ceiling
yeah,
around them because like it's the same players. That's the problem with Unai Emery. He just trusts a set of players. When he trusts you, he
yeah,
trusts you. When he doesn't
yeah,
trust you,
yeah.
he doesn't trust
Did
you.
yeah.
When he finds his 11, he will play them even if it's Nkoso
7-0, you play them.
he will play them. And that's the problem. Like he doesn't have such a big squad. So when
Yeah,
it's a small injury, someone has to come and replace, it becomes a struggle. But I think he's doing well in terms of building the team. And the thing that I love about Naim is he's so practical. He
very,
approaches
very practical.
he
Very, very
approaches every
practical.
game differently, and he plays some very, very good football. Like,
Yeah,
when you hear the players talk about him, they're like, he's so precise. He wants you to stand in
yeah,
some positions. So you look at
yeah,
Unai
yeah.
Emery's
Oli
attacking,
Watkins, yeah,
yes.
finding his
Look
form
at
under Unai Emery and all that.
yeah, you look at his attacking patterns, and it's similar as to when he was at Arsenal. It's similar as to when he was at
Yeah,
PSG. Like same attacking
yeah,
patterns, but super super effective, and he knows how to prepare for games.
yeah,
And I like his philosophy, and I think that's what Spurs needs. But I think
yeah,
it fits into the whole thing around nice football, but he's still not a proven winner. But I think in terms of
yeah, yeah.
making top four,
Top
he's
four.
gonna make it. The kind of football he's playing and him deciding to stick with it, it was very, very good. And I
Yeah,
think this is something that the Spurs fans like love about
yeah,
him, his attacking patterns, the triangles that he's always forming on the pitch, the third man runs
yeah,
which he's making,
yeah,
which is like
yeah,
using those wingers. So I think they are two of the some of the exciting teams I love to watch
yeah.
literally. So
I think Ange Postecoglou, for instance, also like it's the story around what he's doing with Spurs and his personality and the calmness he brings to the side, and it's like everybody now has just fallen in love with Spurs, obviously, except people who hate them, who would have hated them anyway. But falling in love, not just because of the club, but because of his personality. He's seen as a realist who just tells you, look, players are humans as well. They have some struggles. You need to approach them and make them understand that and all that. And so he's seen as somebody who is being very, very real with situations. And for that, a lot of the media, a lot of people tend to love him. I just hope they don't turn on him when things start going terrible,
they
because
won't.
the media do that all the time. Yeah. But finally, just to wrap up, before we get your predictions on the Carabao Cup, I wanted to ask you about Newcastle. They are one team that are very like dangerous on their day, but are also struggling with injuries and also with FFP not being able to bring in new players. Eddie Howe is trying his best, but you can see like sometimes they just need fresh legs on the pitch, and he can't turn to his bench to bring in any fresh legs on the pitch. What do you make of their season? Do you think that they are overperforming? Are they underperforming? Is this something that they could have avoided by just being fair within some of the transfers that they made? Because I think I've forgotten this guy's name who came in from the Italian
Sandro
league. Who
Tonali.
Yeah, Sandro Tonali, who had this drug issue, he's just messed them up as well. But I don't know your thoughts on Newcastle because I think they're one team that if we don't touch on them, it would be a huge disservice to the league.
No, I think they were overperforming in their first season. Like obviously, like
Yeah,
um, Eddie Howe got them fired up, and his brand of football. It was same at Bournemouth. Like when he came
yeah,
in, young guys, just like hungry players who like to run. He likes
yeah,
players who are physical, like to run. But that kind of football is just like the club when he came in at first.
yeah.
It's
Gang pressing.
not sustainable because like
Yeah,
players get
people
fatigued, get
wear out. Yeah,
injured, worn out. Getting to motivate them is very, very hard. So when at Bournemouth, when like he used to have all these cool players, Junior Stanislas, who would just like go out on injury, and
yeah,
that's it. He started having bad results. So I feel like it's remnant of what's happening to him now. So and clearly he needs to bring some more players in. But I do think that like there's big potential in the team. Players like Anthony Gordon are yet to reach their peak.
yeah.
Players like Isaac would be world
Isak
class.
has really
Yeah,
really picked
yeah.
up. Yeah,
Almiron is overperforming.
yeah,
Like, we know the kind
yeah,
of player that he is, but we also know that like yeah, like you need to transition to a point where you have players who can
yeah,
give you
yeah.
more
Sustain. Yeah,
sustained consistency. But yeah, I think they'll be fine. But I don't think they make Europe this season.
yeah. I get you. Anyway, the Carabao Cup is happening final this evening. Chelsea versus Liverpool. First question to you. I'm just asking you two questions on this. First question to you. Okay, three actually. Who has the best midfield? Chelsea or Liverpool?
Chelsea, because
Chelsea.
Berlin,
I think
their assistant coach said it.
who
The
who
assistant coach in Liverpool said it that Chelsea has the best
I mean,
midfield.
they would always say that, but I don't think that's true. I think Klopp has managed to create magic with his new midfield, and I don't think Chelsea's midfield. Like, I understand in terms of profiling individual players and potential. If you've not watched them and you put those names there per their track record, you would say, oh, obviously on paper, I think Chelsea has the better midfield. On the field, no, I don't think so.
Can you
Anyway,
tell there's no midfield pairing which is performing as much as Enzo and because like you can talk about midfield giants. I'm not even saying that oh like our midfield is the best in the league, but
yeah,
midfield pairings the ECG, Conor Gallagher, Enzo, and then
and
Caicedo,
Caicedo.
they are like for me like
Says
they are
ECG
the best.
Christ.
Yeah, no, because like you talk about Arsenal, and you see Declan Rice and like him being paired with different people. You talk about
Yeah.
City and you
I
see
mean,
Rodri.
Sobasla is injured and all that.
Yeah,
So,
so Makale like the midfield maker. But I
I
think
mean, yeah,
this
what you are pointing out is that you've had the most injury-free midfield, but that's not really a proof that you have
that's
the
not
best
that's
or
not our
the better
fault.
midfield.
That's not our fault. I think in terms of midfield combinations
I'm
and
asking based on performances and
no,
like the
no,
performances you are putting together.
at points where we've played very well this season, it has been down to that midfield.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree. But you would also agree that those sparks have not been sustainable. They've been one-off
Yeah, yeah.
sparks
No,
this
I
season.
don't think like I'll not sit here and say that these
Yeah.
these
If you pull it
100
off in the final, sure. But
maybe
it's
this
also
100
possible that you would be way off in the final. And that's the thing with Chelsea right now. It's either here or there, which is a big problem, right?
yeah, but I mean I think we've
Sure.
been
No, wait. I'll ask you for your prediction later. Secondly, who has the best front three though in between the two?
yeah, because the Liverpool one is injured, it's very hard. But I think Liverpool clearly.
Yeah, I think generally Liverpool does. Also because you guys have Jackson, he's not really hit the ground running, like having some issues here and there and all that. Sure. Finally, who do you think would win?
Chelsea.
I think you are eager to tell. I mean, you would always say Chelsea. I'm betting
No.
Liverpool, so
Yeah, I mean it's fine. Anyone wants to bet Liverpool, but I think we win by 2 goals to 1. I see a world
I
where we
think
go to.
Liverpool wins by 4 goals to 1.
Well, that it's no longer Anfield. Like I'm super confident of this. I think there's a world we go into penalties, and even when we do, I think
Yeah,
we hold the advantage. But also remember that traditionally we've played draws, and so the recent 4-1 we've always played
yeah,
draws. So the games have always been
yeah.
quite
Well,
close. So expect a
I
match
know,
of
I know, man. Well, I have a feeling Liverpool would score 4-1. So anyway, that's
two.
my
And
thoughts. It's been nice having this conversation with you, Erasmus. Going through from FPL through to the EPL, and now we are here. The next time we'd have such an episode, obviously, we'd have FPL league table leaders come around, talk us through a few things. So at least we give our dear debaters much more interesting content into the world of football and some of the things that they are passionate about. That being said, thanks. I don't know if you have any final comments for our listeners, though.
up the Chelsea.
The United fans are telling you that at this point you are the ones being delusional. They just passed on a message. I just relayed it to you.
We'll
Anyway,
come back
thanks
to this.
everyone for listening. Subscribe to the channel, like this episode, and leave your comments in the comment section. See you on the next one.